I literally thought, I woke up that next day thinking it was a nightmare. From the very beginning, when I first met with the doctors and the staff, I experienced no pain. I actually left the first day with temporary teeth in, which was a huge difference for me because in my life, to be walking around with no teeth, it was terrifying. So from the very beginning, they made me worry-free, and with the plan that was set out for me and how they were going to get me through this process, it was wonderful. Each step, each procedure was painless, and what got us that much closer to the finish line and the final product. And having a negative turn into a positive with the help of Highbridge was absolutely incredible to me. I would highly recommend Highbridge Implants to anybody to have gone through this experience, and from day one where things are so bad to the point where I am today where things are so good, thinking that how am I going to get from A to B, they really worked wonders. From the staff, everyone was so caring for me. It was a pain-free process, and the doctors laid out the process all the way through. I knew what the next step was, which was very important to me because it was a process. And to know what we were working towards and how we were going to get there was very important to me and to my family. And again, I would highly recommend it because the job they did was truly amazing. So yes, I would recommend them.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town. Our guest today, Dr. Robert Meisner. And that gentleman that we just saw had undergone a procedure that's a relatively new technology. Highbridge,
yes.
It's called?
Yes, it is.
Can you tell us a little, well, first, before we get into Highbridge, let's talk a little bit about implants, because that kind of leads us into that technology.
Highbridge is an implant process.
When somebody loses a tooth, they go to you and you evaluate it, and if you decide they need an implant, first of all, what makes that the decision, and second of all, what's the process?
You want that in 10 seconds or 2 hours?
5 seconds if you can, but...
a brief version, please.
A brief version. Essentially, anyone is a candidate for implants. Age has nothing to do with it, and even physical conditions, unless there's something very seriously wrong, has nothing to do with it. So when you come in and there are missing teeth, we evaluate the density of the bone, how much bone is there, and the bite, and how many teeth we have to replace. And that's what ultimately determines what approach we use, whether it's a Highbridge or whether it's a single implant or whether it's a different kind of tooth replacement system. So anyone is a candidate, pretty much, and it's evaluated based upon those parameters.
And this is a relatively time-consuming in terms of you have to prepare the bone and it has to heal, and then you can come back. And is that a period of months that
Yeah, that's a great question, Phil, because it doesn't have to be. It really depends on the situation. The standard approach using conventional implants, which are broader-based implants, is to place the implant, wait about 3 months. That's a great picture of it right there. It's titanium, by the way. You wait about 3 months, and then you put a tooth on top of the implant. The implant is actually a tooth root replacement. So you can put, for example, 3 teeth on 2 roots or 2 implants. You could put, for example, 12 teeth on 4 implants or 6 implants. So it depends on the situation. Other times, we can actually put the implants in on the lower jaw and put teeth in within 10 days.
Wow.
What determines that? How can you?
The amount of bone, the strength of a person's bite, their stature. There's actually many factors. In fact, one of my crusades, and when you look at X-rays like this, you're evaluating all these different things. One of my crusades is to make people understand it's not a simple matter of just throwing an implant in. There's a lot of stuff going on out there. You really have to evaluate a lot of things. So what makes a difference is how strong is your bite, how much bone is available, where in the mouth it's situated. The upper arch is more fragile than the lower arch, for example. When you're doing a full arch reconstruction, when you're doing a Highbridge reconstruction, that becomes critical. Now, a single tooth like this, that shows an implant that's healed, it's been placed, we've waited, it's healed, the gum tissue's healed nicely around it, and now it's a matter of putting a post into that, and on that post, there's the white post that's in there, that's screwed into the implant, and on that screwed in post, we then put a crown. I think the next picture shows that. So that's a single tooth replacement for an implant.
And it looks so good.
Oh, they look fabulous.
Well,
there's no other way to do that, by the way. No other
to
way.
make it look that real.
I want to move on to Highbridge, but one last question that I have to ask. I hear advertisements, I read about something called mini implants, and I don't know what the difference is.
Can I show this?
Please, yes.
This, if the camera can zoom on this is a great example of what, let me flip it up a little bit. The smallest one on the screen left is a mini. The largest one on the screen right is a regular implant. Let's go this way. So the difference is size, thread design, and application. Now I know there's a lot of controversy about that. There are doctors around that will use mini implants to replace all their teeth. And I think the best thing I can say is anything can work. It depends on the situation. But the difference between a mini and a conventional implant is size. Minis are small and small in diameter, a little bit longer in length. They, the only implant I've ever broken placing was a mini implant. You know, so it's not a bad thing. It's a case by case thing. I can tell you this, that I have cases on conventional implants that have been around since 1981, and they're trouble-free and they've lasted all those years. We just don't have that data for mini implants, so we just don't know yet.
Well, let's get into the Highbridge technology.
Yeah.
That's related to the implant technology that we've been talking about.
Absolutely.
How is it different?
Highbridge technology is a proprietary, specific process in which you go from start to finish in planned steps, no surprises, and you replace one or more teeth. A very traditional Highbridge case would be something like this. If I bring this up, this is an example of what this young lady, Cheryl, has in her mouth. She started with that on the left, on screen right rather, and screen left is her final case.
That's
now,
incredible.
It is. And her teeth are supported on 6 implants.
That is incredible, and she's comfortable.
Oh my, this is a story like you wouldn't believe.
I hear people all the time talk about how uncomfortable their partial is.
Dentures and partials sit on gum tissue.
Yeah.
They are a terrible substitute for your own teeth. Implants are a great substitute for your own teeth. They don't decay, they work, they have long-term track records, they don't get food underneath them that causes pain. It's a godsend.
Your self-image has to be tremendous afterwards.
That last person, that young lady that was there, she came to one of our seminars and she sat in the back corner of the room and said nothing. Her sister dragged her in. Now she speaks for us.
Wow.
I mean, it totally changed her personality.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, on our website, there's testimonials like that. This is the real scoop. The rest of the story, as Jack Anderson used to say. I mean, it's a real phenomenon when it's done well. These are pictures of implants that have been placed. The left side is the upper jaw, the right side is the lower jaw, and you can see how pink and healthy everything looks around those. Now the teeth are screwed into those. So there's the screw holes. And on the other slide shows one in place. You can see a little space between the gum and the teeth.
This is the Highbridge?
That's a Highbridge.
That's the Highbridge. And it looks like there's even just a little space there.
There is.
Tell us why we would want that space.
Because you want to be able to clean it, and it doesn't show.
So you can clean it without removing it.
That's correct. It's not removable. I can take it out.
Once it's there, it's there.
Once it's there, it's there. We want it that way. There are other ways we also do where you can remove them. They're snap in. They also work very, very well. But this particular Highbridge application is really very concise. Now, you said before, how long does it take? So in the worst case scenario, if you have to do a lot of bone grafting, it could take up to a year. In the best case scenario, to the permanent prosthesis, it can take 4 months. And in that 4-month period of time, we can actually put in a temporary one that is available within 10 days. So it's really not a big deal.
So it's not 4 months of walking around toothless.
Oh no, you're never without teeth. You're never without teeth.
Yeah, that's important.
Oh, it's critical.
Is this an expensive process? How do we handle?
How do you handle expense? Well, it certainly is costly in terms of it can be the cost of a small car. So like all of us in life.
Small car doesn't last 20 years.
Well, that's my point. All of us in life buy things that are major purchases, but this affects our smile, our self-image, everything we do, sitting in the studio talking. Imagine trying to do this with teeth that were loose, sloppy, or unattractive. You know,
and also, there's a health concern as well that starts in the mouth. I mean, I had a good friend who came down with an infection, and we thought it was a heart problem. And after spending many, many days, even a couple of weeks in the hospital, and we didn't know whether he was going to survive. And after it was all said and done, he said it started in the mouth.
It started in the mouth. There's all kinds of studies that show that people with unchecked oral disease have higher incidences of diabetes, more difficult to control. There's a connection to heart disease, which is what you were just talking about before. And you know, think about this. Your mouth is about the size of your fist. I mean, I won't put it in, but it's about that size. If you had a place in your body that was this big, that was filled with infection, don't you think that would change the way we feel, it's no question about it. So yes, that's why Highbridge is so remarkable, because if a person has to lose their teeth, or if their teeth have just had it, they're sick and tired of all the breakdown, and you can replace it with a non-degradable, in other words, they don't decay, long-term success, 99%, 95% success rates. What a change that would make in your life.
And access still to the gums underneath.
So you can clean it.
Yeah.
It's a great technique.
That really kind of ties back to what you said in the first segment. When people come in, you want to look at their whole mouth and the health of the whole mouth, and as opposed to maybe the one or two problems that you're coming in to fix.
I think that's really important. In our practice, people go through a comprehensive exam, and we know them and they know us. And we don't make snap decisions unless we have to because it's an emergency. I like to get to know my patients. And when I know what your goals are, and I know what's available, and we talk through every aspect of it, including cost, then we can devise a plan that works, whether that plan is Highbridge or whether that plan is something else. It really doesn't matter. And not everybody can do Highbridge. You have to be the group of Highbridge doctors around the country are highly trained guys that were essentially leaders in their field before. And you have to be certified to be able to use the Highbridge approach, because it's from one laboratory that's state of the art. It's almost completely digital now. So it's not everybody's cup of tea. You can't just go out and say, hey, I want to do Highbridge, and a dentist can just start doing it. So
I love that it's from Western New York.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's local. Yeah, the lab is in Rochester. Isn't that great?
Well, and I'm sure that when people come in and they discuss things like the cost of something like implants or Highbridge, you've got to have an approach for each of your different patients' financial standing.
Absolutely, yeah. Everyone is different, and we work with that. Kirsten, who's our office administrator, works with different programs to help people afford things. I mean, we can't do the impossible, but we really, really do try. The woman that we saw in that first picture, the before and after that we saw, she was convinced that she could not afford it initially, and we worked things through. You know, I mean, there are ways to do it, but fundamentally, you know, we buy what we want.
Yes.
I mean, if it's important to us, we find a way.
Yes.
You know, and that's kind of a truism in life, isn't it?
Yes.
So that is definitely one of the new technology things that are happening today.
That sounds like the latest and greatest.
Yeah, interesting.
It is.
Well, technology has come a long way, and there's a lot to be learned from the dentists that will keep up with technology. And I know I've dealt with some that don't believe in that. That they just want to do things like they did when they went to school, and you know, that's it.
Well, you asked in the last segment about the changes, and I mentioned that when I first started, the technology was so primitive almost that I couldn't have done it. Well, that's not true now. So now it's exciting, and I was blessed because I always look for the next thing, and I still do. I mean, there are people that say, oh, how long are you going to go? And I'm going to go as long as I'm capable, because it's more exciting now than it ever has been. It's incredible what we can do. I mean, changing people's lives the way we can do that through something that is predictable is incredible.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like more information about the state-of-the-art work that Dr. Meisner does, we're going to have that up on the screen for you, and please feel free to call his office and ask whatever questions come to mind.